Late-night trains have always had an eerie feel to them. The heavy silence, the dim lights flickering every now and then, the nearly empty seats. There's something unsettling about confined spaces when they are almost deserted, as if they are waiting for something to happen. But that night, it wasn't the silence that made my skin crawl. When I stepped into the train car, a sudden chill ran down my spine. There were passengers, but every single one of them sat completely still, their faces covered by pitch-black masks. No whispers, no phones lighting up the darkness, not even the faintest sign of movement. They were like statues, or corpses that hadn't realized they were dead yet. I glanced behind me. The door I had entered through had locked shut. The train was already in motion. I was trapped with them. That night, I was completely exhausted. I just wanted to get home, crawl into bed, and forget about the long, draining day. But from the moment I set foot inside that train, something felt off. I walked slowly down the aisle, glancing at the passengers. Every single one sat in a rigid posture, their bodies pressed tightly against their seats, as if they were incapable of moving. There was no sign of natural human behavior, no adjusting of a bag, no shifting in place, no tired sighs. Then I noticed something even stranger. The black fabric covering their faces wasn't an ordinary mask. I squinted, trying to make out any features beneath the cloth. But there was nothing. No nose, no lips, no eyes, just pure, solid blackness. I sat near the back of the car, trying to convince myself that my exhaustion was making me imagine things. But the air inside the train felt charged with something inexplicable, as if it was watching me. Then, a terrifying realization struck me. I hadn't heard a single breath from any of them this entire time. I tried to reassure myself, forcing logic into my thoughts. Maybe they were just wearing some strange cultural masks. Maybe they were part of a silent event. Maybe I was overthinking. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. A woman sat 2 seats away from me. She hadn't moved once. Her hands remained exactly where they were. She hadn't even blinked. I looked closely at her chest. There was no rise or fall. She wasn't breathing. Then, the train entered a dark tunnel. The lights flickered for a brief second, and when they came back on, they had removed their masks. My eyes widened in horror, and before my mind could even process what I was seeing, my blood had already turned to ice. They had no faces. There were no human features at all. No eyes, no mouths, no noses, just deep, gaping holes where their eyes should have been. And those holes were moving. That's when I realized these weren't people. Then, without warning, one of them turned to face me. I jolted, my heart hammering against my ribs. They had no eyes, yet I felt their gaze piercing through me, unseen but unmistakable. And then, slowly, more of them began turning toward me one by one in perfect synchronization. I had made a terrible mistake. I wasn't supposed to see them for what they really were. Then, the first one stood up, then another, then another. One by one, they all began rising from their seats. They moved slowly, but their steps were deliberate, unwavering. There was no hesitation in their movements, only purpose. The only sound was a low, whispering hum, like the echoes of voices trapped between worlds. I shot up from my seat, bolting toward the door leading to the next car. My hands trembled as I grabbed the handle, desperately trying to pull it open. But just as the train shook violently, I lost my balance. They were getting closer. I yanked at the handle, my fingers slick with sweat, but it wouldn't budge. Then I looked at the reflection in the glass door, and my blood ran cold. I was alone in the reflection, but behind me, I could still hear them moving closer. Then I felt it, a cold hand on my shoulder. I screamed and spun around, but the train car was empty. No masks, no faceless passengers, no one. Everything looked exactly as it had when I first stepped inside, yet I could still feel it. I could still hear breathing, but it wasn't mine. And then, a terrifying realization hit me like a freight train. The train never reached its destination. Will you take the last train next time?